Good morning, YouTube. We are out here today. Got my buddy Cody here, gonna help us do a little fencing work. We got this back pasture back here where all these sheep's gonna be coming to, in about a 4.5, 5 acre section. We just got to put a perimeter fence up around it. So today's gonna be a lot of post setting and fence stretching. So if you like that kind of stuff, stay tuned. Alright, so we're here, we're tying in this new fence to an existing fence, and that existing fence corner post was leaning quite a bit, so we're trying to finagle a way to straighten this post up by running a come along between a tree and a post. I don't recommend doing this at home. Leave this to the professionals. Just kidding. We got this handy dandy little fence post leveler that you can use. I just remembered that I had it. Alright, so here we have started stretching some fence. We got our little come along here. Got this little fence stretcher. This thing's pretty cool. If y'all haven't seen one of these, they got these little metal wedges that you drive down into each individual slot, and that crimps the wire, holds the wire real tight. So we're just tying off to a tree at the moment. We got all this fence rolled out. This is just a small section, small portion of it. We're gonna go along and put some fence ties to the post. And I've got this, these are actually called, they are Stay-Tuff universal T-post clips. If you haven't seen these are cool as all get out. They actually go around the post, and you use a drill that's got a chuck right here that goes in and tightens this to the post itself. So this little clip here will go around the post, and it goes above and below your piece of wire. I'm gonna raise this fence up just a little, and I'll actually pinch these two ends a little closer together, and we will slide our drill bit over it until it flushes up, and then you just spin it down and it breaks right off there. Real quick way to put fence ties on a fence. I usually put about 4 on each post. Just make sure you go above and below on each one, above and below that horizontal wire. Slide it over it, tighten it down. All right, here we are on day 2. We're gonna try to get cross braces on the H braces. We're gonna put some tension wires to keep them from pulling up out of the ground. And we're gonna try to see if we can stretch some more wire today. Then hopefully after today, all we'll have left to do is setting some gates. So I just take this tensioner and make a loop. I put a crimp on it, and you should just be able to make one big continuous loop around the post and run it through your tensioner. You only have to have one crimp that way. See if we can crimp it. There you go. Yes, sir. So right here is tightening this tensioner. You just want to go a little bit by a little bit until this thing, like a banjo, pretty tight guitar string. There we go. That's going to be about right. So one other thing we had to learn the hard way. When you're putting these tension braces on here, put your pull end, the low end of the wire at a diagonal. You want the low end on the end that you're pulling against. So that way, if you start pulling your fence, that counteracts it. As you pull your tension this way, that post has a tendency to lift up and out of the ground. Well, if you cross brace against it down at the bottom, that distributes your tension up here, and it just counteracts that rocking motion that it would have if that wasn't there. So low end, where your gate's going to be essentially, or your corner post. High end, the direction of the pull. So one other thing that I do when I am putting these tension wires on, put you a staple in for your tension wire to rest so it doesn't slide down the post. And then I always put a couple staples against it. I drop them down, and that keeps this wire from burying up in your post as bad. It distributes the force evenly, and it doesn't sink into your wood. Same thing on this end. You just kind of put your wire below the staple, and you put your two staples there to evenly distribute your tension across the bottom of the post. That's the last tension wire. So now we'll just hang two double gates here, and we've just got to unroll some field fence now. Alright, so we're unrolling our wire. We got to an end, and there's nothing, this isn't to a corner post part. So what I'm going to do is splice the next roll in. So I cut this wire here in half, and I cut the other roll, and we got these little clamps, these crimps. You basically are going to run the wire from the new strand in this crimp and crimp it together, and that should have about the same holding strength, same tensile strength as if it was one continuous roll of wire. Alright, so we're going to show you on this one how to set this little fence stretcher up. You're going to take basically this big metal I guess you call it the stay piece, and we're going to drive them wedges down through here in the middle of this fence wire, and then we're going to set it up, and I'm going to show you how we stretch it. Alright, so when we start tying this here fence off, we always cut some wires and then strip them, and then we tie it back on itself. But we only try to do one at a time, and we leave this fence stretched tight in the meantime. We still got it here on this fence stretcher stretched out to a post. Now Jamie's going to show you how she ties these off. Alright guys, we are on day 3 of the backfield fencing project. We've got all of the field fence stretched tight. We've got it tied off. Hopefully you can kind of tell about how we go about the process of tying that off. So today all we have left is putting the fence ties on the T-post and actually putting the field wire against the post itself. And then we're done. We just got to hang gates and we can graze this back pasture with the sheep. So here's a kind of a close-up on what those tied knots look like. They just look so much cleaner than just strictly stapling a fence to a post. But you will have basically what they consider a lazy loop, which is a bigger loop, and then you go under and grab your vertical stay wire, and then you have your tight loops to follow that. Here's another one. This one turned out really nice. Lazy loop, tight loops, and then tie it off on the other side of your stay wire. That seems to hold just a whole lot better. It's basically the wire holding itself to itself. Holds better than just strictly stapling the fence to the post. All right, so this fence, there's a terrain change, so it wants to buckle out a little bit. So on this H brace, I'm gonna raise it up a little bit and just tack it to the upright post. And then we're gonna go along to the T-post and put the fence ties on. So like the last time on that other side, this is the Stay-Tuff fence tie drill chuck. Basically the end of your fence tie. These are Stay-Tuff fence ties as well. The end of those basically will go around your post. You squeeze it together, it slides up into the chuck, and then obviously your post is through there, and you turn the chuck and it's just going to tighten itself down onto the fence. So I'm going to show you on a few of these, and it goes really quick. So you want this tie to go above and below your horizontal wire. That way when you tighten it down, it's actually holding your wire. So you go around the post, I pinch it together just enough that I can slide this chuck on. Slide the chuck on and then pull the trigger. Easy as that. Tightens it up. Easiest thing I've ever seen. Don't know how I ever did any fencing without that. So and this is just another kind of trial and error tip we figured out. Obviously these, after they twist off, they leave a sharp edge. So if you're gonna have your livestock on the side that this edge is gonna be on, you can either take you a hammer or pliers and bend this up or down out of the way, or if you think far enough ahead, you can turn your T-post, the flat side, to the outside that the animals aren't going to be on, because this could, it could catch an eye or cut their hide or an ear, or you name it. It is sharp, so it could cut one of them. So if you plan ahead, you can turn these where it's on the outside where you run your wire, and you don't have to worry about it hurting your animals. A strain or a bow to the fence. Sometimes you have to add extra if that's the case. Easy as that. We have got our fence finished. know it's hard to tell the kind of terrain that this fence has been run in, but let me tell you, it's about a 45-degree angle hillside that we run this through. Alright guys, so that is going to wrap up the video about building the fence in the backfield. Hopefully y'all will learn something. I really wanted to highlight those fence ties. For me, that has been a game changer on fence building. So hopefully, you know, next time y'all have to build a fence, go check those out. I don't think you'll be disappointed at all. And I will link the description I'll link that product in the description below. So if y'all want to check those out, not sponsored, nothing like that, but it is a really cool product. Hopefully y'all can appreciate how hard building that fence through that back side of the property was. Really rough terrain, a lot of hills, a lot of trees, roots, rocks, stumps, you name it, worst of the worst, but we got her done. So thank y'all for sticking with me this long into the video. Stay tuned for more content like this, and before long we're going to be doing some more sheep stuff, so hang with me and I'll see y'all on the next one.